Today I want to talk about some things that you can work on if you've run out of things to practice. First and foremost, I want to send my best wishes to anybody who is affected by the coronavirus, which at this point is pretty much everyone. I know this is sort of an uncertain and somewhat scary time, but I'll know we'll get through it. And in all of this social distancing and quarantining and things that have been happening, you may have found yourself ending up with a lot more practice time than you thought you initially had. So maybe after all of this is over, we may end up be even better clarinet players than we were and than we would have been. See, there's always a silver lining, and as long as you're continuing to think about what your goals are and aiming towards that and taking the action towards those goals, you'll find yourself finding success, whether it's in a little bit different way than you expected or goes smoothly as you expected, which it pretty much never does. But just keep aiming towards your goals and keep working every day, and you will get better at clarinet, and if you take it a day at a time, you will also get through this coronavirus stuff. Now, if you're watching this sometime in the future after it's been recorded and we're no longer worried about coronavirus, that's excellent. But the tips in this video may still be useful for you because we all come to times in our practicing where we feel like we have nothing left to practice or we run out of things to be working on. So this will also be helpful for you. So with all that scary, crazy stuff out of the way, let's get into the good stuff, which is all about the clarinet playing. So the first thing to do if you feel like you've run out of stuff to practice is to really dig into your warm-up routine. I would certainly hope you would never feel like you were out of stuff to practice and not be doing any warm-ups at all. Warm-ups are probably like the number one most important thing that everybody should be practicing, and that should sort of be what you start your practice with every single time that you get the clarinet out and are practicing. But if you feel like you're out of stuff, you can go deeper into the warm-up. So maybe that means getting a little bit more picky, raising your expectation for how good you think these things should sound. Remember, I like to say long tones are the best you're ever gonna sound because you're focusing 100% of your energy playing really easy notes and really focusing on the sound. So everything else you play is gonna sound a little worse than your long tones. So really take that to heart and take this time to be like, man, do my long tones really sound as best as humanly possible? Like, am I getting the best clarinet sound that I can on these super simple exercises? So really digging in more into the details, maybe bumping up your metronome marking a little bit on your scales, maybe thinking about cleaning up your articulation a little bit, or maybe adding more staccato articulation or experimenting with different types of note shapes and note lengths. So that's like sort of the first way to dig in the warm-ups is do what you're already doing, but up the expectations, go a little deeper, and really be even more picky and get more of exactly the clarinet playing you want out of your simple warm-up exercises. The other way that you can dig into the warm-ups more is to expand your warm-up routine. So maybe you've never done 3-octave scales, so you can add in that 3rd octave on some of the scales and really challenge yourself that way. Maybe you've done the Albert book and you normally work out of the Albert book, but maybe try doing the Berman book, which is very similar patterns, but goes through the full range and does some different things with it that's helpful and more challenging. Maybe you feel really confident with your major scales, but you want to dig into your minor scales. Maybe you've never practiced like octatonic or whole tone scales, and that would be a great thing to focus on. So you can get pickier and raise your expectation on your warm-ups, and you can also expand the things you're working on, and that'll give you tons more to practice. Now, the second thing you can do if you find yourself with lots more practice time is do some online searching and research. There's tons and tons of clarinet content out there on the internet. This is one of them, so congratulations for watching this video and taking advantage of some of the free online clarinet content that's out there. There's tons and tons of different YouTube channels. Just search clarinet. Even listening to recordings of great clarinet players can be really inspirational and a really good use of your time. And another awesome free resource is the Clarinet subreddit. So if you go to Reddit and search clarinet, you'll find it, and there's a whole list of different online resources there with tons and tons of different information that you can be constantly learning, even if you're not getting out or not working with your teacher like you may have been before quarantine. In addition to all of the awesome free resources that are out there, there are also other awesome paid resources as well. There's lots of different courses and masterclass type things that you can get for clarinet specifically. And the one that I would recommend, which is one of my own, is the Next Generation Clarinet Method book, which you can get by going to quickstartclarinet.com and clicking on the Next Gen Clarinet Method at the top of that, or you can follow the link in the description and that'll go to a page with more information about it. I want to give you a little bit of a sneak peek about why I think this would be such a great option for you to get, is because I'm actually in the process of doing a lot of revisions and adding a lot of things to it, and I think it's going to be an awesome resource once it's all done, which will hopefully be in the next couple months or so. And now the third thing that you can do to take advantage of some extra practice time, or when you've run out of things to practice, is to practice some sight reading. Sight reading is always beneficial and is really useful to be good at, and the only way to get good at it is by doing it a lot. There's the Sight Reading Factory is a great resource with lots of different and varying level sight reading things for you to look at, or you can do it the old-fashioned way and just pull out any etude book that you have, or even just search online for any sheet music and just pull something up and read through it. You may come across stuff that's a little too challenging or a little too easy, but that's all part of the process. Just pull up some music, set a metronome or get your steady beat going in your head and see if you can just play straight through it no matter what. Then if you make a lot of mistakes, it may be a little bit too hard, or it might be a good challenge. And you can work through it a little bit just to get more experience working through music too, but don't worry too much about learning every single piece. Just set your steady beat and just go through it and see if you can read through whatever music you can get your hands on. The fourth thing that is perfect to do when you feel like you've run out of stuff to practice is to raise the level of challenge in what you're working on. So this would be a great time to get out a new piece, maybe a piece that's a little more challenging than you think you would feel comfortable with, or maybe even an excerpt. Maybe this is the time to really dig into the Firebird or the Daphnis and Chloe or the Miraculous Mandarin, one of those really challenging technical excerpts, and get it out, put it on your stand, just spend a few minutes of it each time you practice working on it, see what kind of progress you can make, and you might surprise yourself, especially if you have a little bit more time. You might surprise yourself with how much you can get through it, how well you can do it, and how engaged you become with it because you're actually challenging yourself and pushing yourself. That's the way to really be fulfilled by your practicing, is to challenge yourself and be really engaged with a good challenge. And my fifth and final recommendation is to just do some playing for fun. This is the perfect time to explore maybe some new styles or just play some popular music. Maybe you're a classically trained clarinetist, but you've always been really interested in jazz or maybe even klezmer. Just pull up some recordings of people playing in whatever that style is and just sort of mess around and see if you can imitate it. Maybe you could find a jazz chart or something and play through some of it and just experiment with what it feels like to play that way. Sometimes doing different styles in particular can really help with the classical style as well, because in experimenting with all the jazziness, and I find when I play some jazz stuff, I use my air really more effectively. I'm not so afraid of trying to control everything and get everything just right, and I find that kind of attitude really applies well actually to the classical style as well. So it may just be for fun, but you may also get a lot of extra benefits out of it as well. Another great way to play for fun is to do some pop music. Maybe if there's a song on the radio that you love, it's pretty easy to find just transcriptions if you just search the name of the song in sheet music. A lot of people have transcribed it, and you can download the sheet music for that and just play through it. And maybe that's practicing your sight reading and you're playing something for fun, which is another awesome benefit. Another great thing that I like to do a lot, as you've seen on this channel before, is to play video game music on clarinet, which is always a good time to just sort of do something that's popular, that I'm not necessarily so worried about getting every single detail of the playing refined and pristine and perfect. I'm just having a good time playing music that I really enjoy. So if you've been feeling like you've run out of things to practice, I suggest that you take a look at one of the 5 things, or maybe all 5 of the 5 things that we covered in this video. That's digging into your warm-ups more, doing some online training, getting some free information that way, or paying for some awesome information like the Next Generation Clarinet Method book, practicing your sight reading, taking on a new challenging piece or an excerpt, or just playing something for fun, whether that's a pop tune, a different genre, or even your favorite classical pieces for fun. I hope that gives you some inspiration for some things to do. I hope everybody stays safe and healthy as we deal with the coronavirus and the COVID-19 situation. And if you're watching this past that, but still find yourself with some extra time to practice, I hope this has been helpful and you feel now inspired and motivated and have some ideas on the kinds of things that you should be working on and can be working on if you have some extra free time. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you in another video.